All right, Cyber Traders, welcome on back to wrap things up for this week, Friday, December 3rd, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. This Lagavulin trade, long ever, an LGVN, is pretty much the embodiment of how this day has gone, with the markets dropping off altogether. Great to see Michael, great to see Brian, all of us otherwise live in Cyber Group. Great to see you all coming on back right now. Gary and Leda and Ron, loud and clear from everyone, seems like, which is good. Grant included, Michael, perfect. All right. And then again, of course, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, as always, welcome on back. So, you know what? We'll move away from LGVN. At this point, it's hard to borrow. It's been hard to borrow. We're not going to try and short it on the way down because we can't. Practically, what we'll do is just go right from top to bottom. Otherwise, we'll do Bitcoin at the end. But today's been a fantastic day if you're short. So, a couple of stocks that we've been shorting from earlier and then heading into this very meeting. So we'll talk about those too, but no better place to start than right at the top of the gainers list here otherwise. Hopefully the audio's coming in sharp. Hopefully there's no like real weird issues with the audio right now. I feel like there is from my mic. I don't know. Hopefully I'm just paranoid. Nonetheless, though, just starting at the top, the HGTY trade up over 53%. Very thin order book. So again, not really too much to write home about on that. Seems we'll kind of skip over that for right now. Now, this CYAD stock, at least this CYAD stock is something that we can keep our eyes on. We had this on our morning watch list. It was one of the top percent gainers back from 9 a.m. And with that, well, after the market did open, at least it provided a little slingshot, gave us a nice little under and over from 460, moved up pretty nicely at the time, but damn, this thing's had a hell of a tough time trying to break above historical resistance off of 525. You could just pretty much go to the daily chart for that. So I'll just quickly draw a line, 522, 525, practically right here, right? You could just see such a big support, such a big resistance at first, and then it tanked after that point. So, to see this make the squeeze up, the grind up this morning, no surprise where we would find a resistance on this trade. It was practically right off that 25 level. I mean, peaked above it a couple of times, but otherwise held really well under it. Now, on this one trade, I'll tell you right now, I'm long on this stock right now. I took a 5-cent loss just earlier, and that was actually on a partial fill. I got partially filled on 1,000 shares. It was 600 shares I got filled on. So I'm just bringing that up because I entered the trade again. I wanted to give it one last shot. So it's on this like odd 600 share position that I'm in on this CYAD from 452. My stop set right at my entry price. So God forbid if this tanks, as we go through this meeting, I'll get stopped out break even, very likely. So, I don't know. Either way, just because I'm in it doesn't mean I'm going to put it on our watch list. I'm more hopeful than anything. We would like to think if it's not going to break higher, there's only one other way it's going to go. And that was like over here. So if it's not going to break lower, if it's going to give us one more chance, you know what? I'll take it. I took it. I'm not fully confident of putting this on our main afternoon list just yet. If we come back to this at the end of the meeting and it ends up showing a little more signs of life, then perhaps I feel more confident to put it on our list for you folks. If you're not in from 450 now, I just feel like you're chasing. So, see if there's any more signs of life on this stock, at least at the end of this meeting. All right, so we got the CFVI stock. The warrants are number 4. I don't know where CFVI is here itself on the gainers list. We'll find it. The actual equity, not the warrants. Now, otherwise, though, there's a few other things on the percent gainers list, as you could see. But with the markets dropping off, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow entirely, well, the VIX index, the volatility/fear index is moving up. And, this ETF, UVXY, that follows the VIX in particular, is obviously trending up. So, on days like today and days like we had back from March of 2020 and the beginning of the pandemic practically, just to say, for the most part, well, hey, we'll look at these ETFs more frequently in that regard. So UVXY, VIX or VXX, VIXY, VIXY here, number 12% gainer. They're all making practically the same move, right? All right, so we'll see what else we can get. I mean, I saw Krispy Kreme go against the grain here. This was actually a stock that was like moving real steady on the way up as the markets were falling. Kind of odd. I don't know why. I don't think there was any like news that came out because I don't think there was much activity from pre-market. But either way, the stock's pulling back down now, so not much to it here for the afternoon. That's going to be the theme here, at least on the gainers side. And to be honest with you, I probably should have started off on the losers list here. I obviously never do that, but probably find more opportunity on the losers list heading into the close for a day like today compared to a day like yesterday. MGI, I saw Udea call this out earlier. Nice push up, at least heading into the early afternoon. Looks like the wheels fell off on this trade, though. At least it's shortable. Don't get me wrong, and you can consider this tradable. I want to see if there's better opportunities otherwise on the losers list here. I kind of rummaged through the gainers side pretty quick, but let's see. XSPA, familiar name. It's moving up. It's like slow as molasses otherwise. But you know what? Maybe I'll come back to this at the end. If there's like legitimately nothing else that we'll put on our list, then I wouldn't mind putting the XSPA on our list in that case. ISPC, pop and drop. That came fast. And I guess I didn't find CFEI. It's probably somewhere around there on the gainers list. We saw CFEI make a really nice push up earlier. And wow, look at that go, huh? It's still pushing. So it's up 8%. Yeah, I would have found it somewhere here going across the gainers list. I went quick. But most importantly on this stock, I was wrong on something. And, I'm always wrong day to day, right? Every day I'm wrong on something as we're all human. But it's to say that as this was pushing up and up and up and up and up and up, well, we called it out as it was breaking above 1050. But for as much as it's pushing up, you'd like to anticipate a false breakout at some point. And for as big of a level as we had at 1092 and at 11 from yesterday, then I was sure as can be that this would end up making a false breakout over 1092 and for it to come crashing back down under it. Well, it broke above 1092 and made like a 50-cent pop off that price. So that's where you can come back and say, well, hey, you know what? When a stock breaks over a big resistance and it actually moves pretty nicely off it, well, at that point, in that case, you'd like to think the first time it comes back down to that level that it could hold as support. So it took a little extra, a little under and over from the 1092 level at least. But once it broke back above 1092, namely 11 here, you could see the stock ended up propelling up a lot higher. So nice move on CFEI. Yeah, I'll definitely put this on the watch list for right now. Probably the only stock that we found so far that's completely going against the grain as the markets are dropping off. So still be wary on this trade. It looks like it's coming back down rather fast now. So, I wouldn't expect 1092 to hold again if there is another time, maybe like for a minute. But then if it comes crashing back down again, then it's going to happen. So, yeah, for right now, I'll put this on our list. Looks pretty good. See if there's anything on the loser side now. Geez, got a bunch of stocks getting crushed. Holy smokes. CELZ down 56%. Can't short it. It's like flat, so there's no like trade on that really for us. ESPR, pretty interesting. Wow, I missed this just now. I mean, we all did in Cybergroup and all of us on social media. Like, we all just missed this move. What I mean by that is it broke under 5. It broke right back above 5, and that actually could have been a nice little, entry, nice little long entry there. But if you're not in from that point, then the question is, how far would this push up to? And if anything, 515, 520-ish seems to be resistance. So, I don't know. It's down 42%. It can't short it. The move was off of 5. If you're in from there right now, then, hey, you're looking good. But if not, then I'd move on. All right, so let's keep it going with my home office door open. I don't know if you just heard my loud as can be dryer just go off. So I'm working from home today. It's been a pretty slow day, so good day to get the errands done, right? All right, so we keep it going. Otherwise, the SWBI trade was getting clipped earlier today too, and I think this had to do with like a downgrade from some firms. So ended up leading to a big drop as soon as the market opened up. You could see that on the 5-minute chart. Just smooth as can be downtrend all the way down towards low of the day, roughly off of that 16 level. And for right now, although it's trying to get back up, I feel like this could be in line for one more drop coming up, actually. So you know what? I'll add this to our list. Smith & Wesson, SWBI, shortable, just made a big move, trading still decent amount of volume across the day. So, yeah, why not? All right, so with the markets dropping off, what else is dropping off, folks. I'll get to crypto, Bitcoin, and the others at the end. Cannon here is a Bitcoin mining affiliated stock taking a big hit. And with that, I'll get to my swing trade or lack thereof now at this point. I added more shares to BTBT yesterday at 9, but then I'll get to that here in a moment. But I ended up closing out that swing this morning. I took a loss. So you win a lot, you lose a few. That's my line. The saying, you win some, you lose some. You win a lot, you lose a few. So I lost on that one. I'll get to that trade in a bit. LI, at least, LI Auto near the lows of the day, just moving with the market seemingly. So you know what? I'll add this to our list as a short alongside the SWBI. That looks pretty good. All right, where is it? Where is it? Come on now. We got Mara down 15%, getting whacked. Why not, right? And hey, typically for these crypto mining affiliated stocks heading into the close, believe it or not, well, it's not even believe it or not, because if you've been watching this afternoon meeting for a lengthy amount of time, day over day, as we see these stocks down big heading into the afternoon, they rarely ever continue in their direction. With Mara down 16%, still you got to watch the markets, the S&P and the Dow both, and alongside that, Bitcoin entirely. But you know what? I'll tell you, if this drops down to 41, this could be a nice little dead cat bounce entry on Mara. Let's see it break under 41, right back above 41, and that could be the play. We'll see. Between this and Riot, right? RIOT, we have NCLH down, Cruise Line down big right now too. So if I'm adding Mara, I may as well add Riot to our list. Both pretty much trade the same. Where's NCLH? I saw that down big just before too, and I was going to transition to CCL because I'm currently short on CCL. Ah, man, I would have found NCLH there. It was there for a moment. NCLH is down over 5%. So for right now, it's kind of beginning to hold over 18. I thought I saw on the losers list there. The CCL trade, though, this is the trade that I'm short on right now. I took like a 4 or 3 cent loss earlier, and then I jumped back in on the trade later on, right off of 1748 here. From that point, I was anticipating the markets to drop off. So, it's just to say this has been a great trade moving with the S&P and the SPY, as you can see on my 5-minute chart. So I took half of my position out at 1688 before we started this meeting. I had hopes of this dropping down to at least 1675. So I still have half left. And I got my stop on that half at, I think, 1720. So God forbid if this shoots up a little bit more and the markets look to make a small correction going back up, then I'd likely see what would happen at 1720 at that price. But with the entry at 1748, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I'm going to hang on to my short. And with that, hey, I don't mind adding CCL to our list here in this case. What was it? The freaking CY8D stock. We'll get back to that. I wasn't nearly as confident about putting that on our list at the time as I am with CCL as a short. But as we get back to that CY8D stock, it's looking just a little bit better, isn't it? Isn't it now, Norman? So, you know what? You might feel like you may have chased it, or you might be chasing it if you didn't get in from where we were last watching it. But I'm not out of the doghouse on this stock yet. But like by any measure, I'm not out of the doghouse on this trade at all. What I mean by that is, well, we have resistance, and it's pretty much right here at 482. 482 is the opening bell print price on this trade earlier today. So, you could see earlier it made a false breakout here. Came back down. So for right now, hey, it's looking better than it was just before. So you know what? I'll add it. CYAD. If it ends up tanking as soon as we finish up this meeting, then I would just move on from it. Uday in the chat board saying CRKR is an interesting Bitcoin miner. Unfortunately, it's not interesting. I say that because it's only trading 18,000 shares total on the whole day. That's nothing. Now, it's an OTC stock also, so I personally don't have data for OTC on my platform. We don't really trade OTC here in the trading room. Perhaps if it gets listed on the NASDAQ or the NYSE, that could be pretty interesting. We've come to know other crypto miners in the past, HUT being one of them, HUT, and Hive. Those are, I think, formerly OTC stocks that became listed on the major exchanges like the NASDAQ, as you could see here. This one's taken a bit of a hit too. This one, I don't know, it's not as volatile as the Mara and Riot trades are, and that's not as good here in this case. Pretty slow. All right, we'll check out my unfortunate BTBT trade. Yesterday I ended up jumping into this. I ended up adding more shares to my position at $9 in total. Now at this point, with the second half of my entry, it was 500 shares altogether. You don't look to swing trade the same amount of shares you look to day trade in a position, folks. Fausto will be the first to tell you that. He would actually be the first to tell you trade like 8 to 10 times less on a swing than you would a day trade. So this was like half size in total for me, but still took a loss. I was in from 11, and then I added more at 9 yesterday afternoon in hopes of Bitcoin making a nice bounce back up. It did not. So I ended up getting out of my swing entirely at 860. So I took a bit of a hit. It's not all about the good stuff, folks. I'll tell you about the losses too. Now with that, at least, let's just jump to Bitcoin because, hey, I took a loss on BTBT as a swing, but once I happen to see the tides turn on Bitcoin, then I'll definitely be antsy on re-entering. Here's the thing, though. And you know how bullish I am on Bitcoin, but again, we're here to talk about all scenarios, including a further drop. So where we last left off on Bitcoin, it wasn't actually this line. It was just back from Wednesday of this week as it was beginning to try and bounce back up. However, just over the last 12 to 18 hours, big drop. Again, this is a 6-hour graph. So with the markets dropping, we're seeing Bitcoin continue to pull back. But now, as you could see, it's breaking this, white trend line that I had here. This was holding for so long, dating back to mid-July. So it actually broke under it here for a smidge, but then it made the slingshot, popped right back up. And that's where I last bought when I got back from my Florida vacation. So it is to say, at least now, this beginning to pull back and breaking under the white trend line now really strongly. Doesn't seem too pretty. Does not seem too pretty. So where could we anticipate Bitcoin making a bounce from should it continue to drop? Well, we ended up seeing it kind of hold over the 500 pretty nicely here. If it ends up kind of making the same tussle with the 500 as it did back from late September, then perhaps we could see it drop a little bit closer to 50K. Maybe a little bit above 50K. Maybe it kind of teases around 50K, slightly under. Let's jump to the daily chart here for right now because, again, we got to look kind of longer term. That's why I never really go into a 15-minute graph or a 1-minute chart for Bitcoin, really. So with this, well, you could see there are some other trends that I drew, and I'm not expecting those per se to, hold over time. But in relation to the moving averages that I have here, the 200 on the daily chart would be the next moving average support that I have. Well, it last kind of chopped around there dating back to that late September time, and then it ran. So perhaps, in a best case scenario, not best case scenario, best case would be it holds here and flies. But, let's say if this comes down and kind of touches the 200 and then pops like no tussle like it did back from late September, then that could be right around that 50,000 mark, maybe 51,000, 50,000. So I'm not going to buy anymore, is what I'm telling you, until it ends up making that move. If it ends up popping and then suddenly running, all right, so be it. I have enough Bitcoin to go around. Actually, I can't say that, but if I don't have a chance to add any more and we happen to see a giant run, I'm content. I'm happy. So I'm going to try and catch the dips as we go, if there are any, as I try to do back from here. So we will see. All right, folks, that's all I got for you, at least in Bitcoin land. If there's anything else otherwise up, down, left, right that you would want me to look at here in terms of stocks, let me know here in the chat board. Yeah, Norman, that was a good exit there. Jumping in at 476 there in between the levels, never really a good idea. So that was a good exit there at least. All right, going once, going twice, going thrice. I think that we're pretty much good, folks. I will look lastly one more time on Benzinga Pro, the signals page, seeing if there's anything there that we had missed. I'll tell you, there's actually one that we did miss. There is one that we missed, actually. Let's jump to it. It's not the fastest moving stock. We'll see, though. Brian will probably be a bit frustrated with this. TIGR is moving back up. TIGR got about a 23,000 share iceberg on the bid at 549, and it's at a new high of the day now. So this is where I'll come to you and say, hey, for as much as this stock moved up and up and up earlier, for the first time it's going to test a big resistance, a la 550, I would expect for it to fail. Well, that's what I said on the CFVI stock, and unfortunately I was wrong there. But that resistance became support, led to a great trade, about 10 minutes afterwards. Here in the case of TIGR, well, here's the first real test of resistance. It failed. Here's the second test. This looks a little bit better right now, so hopefully there's a lot more left to this run on TIGR. I'll add this here. Got a nice mishmash here of trades to work with between stocks that are moving down with the market that are continuing to drop. We have some stocks that are actually going against the grain to a degree, like CYAD, the CFVI stock, TIGR, and a couple of others in between, folks. So I'll tell you, I think that we're pretty much good to go. If feeling good about this list. So for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. Enjoy the weekend. If you have any questions about what we do at Cyber Trading University, you have a couple of options. I always like to leave my email here in the chat board for all of you. But otherwise, if you would like to join us live Monday to Friday, live inside our trading room, especially going into this market close, for all of us there, I'll be back on the mic right at 3 p.m. Give me about a 10 or 12-minute break. I don't have a 3 p.m. coaching. I'll be right back on the sticks at 3 p.m. for all of you. If you'd like to join us live, though, inside our trading room, you can go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on the stream there. For all of us there right now, Leda, Brian, Michael included, I look forward to talking to you folks coming up pretty shortly. Take care.